Listen closely, because this is not a message you stumbled upon by accident. This is alignment. This is orchestration. This is the moment the veil thins just enough for truth to slip through, and it has found you. You chosen one, standing at the edge of something irreversible. The March equinox is not just a date on a calendar. It is a doorway, a divine recalibration of light and shadow. And something within you has been preparing for this exact crossing long before your conscious mind could understand it. Feel that subtle tension in your chest. That pull between fear and anticipation. That is not confusion. That is activation. And if you are hearing these words now, it means your spirit has already stepped forward. Even if your body still hesitates behind, stay with me. Do not scroll away. Because what unfolds next is not meant for everyone. It is meant for those who are ready to remember who they truly are. And if you feel that quiet resonance, that undeniable pull, then you already know you are one of them. Before we go deeper, align your energy. Leave a mark, a signal, a declaration. Comment below that you are here, that you are listening, that you are ready, and subscribe not out of habit, but as a commitment to your awakening path. And if this message resonates in your soul, I recently released a powerful audiobook titled How to Awaken the Rich Mind Within You. It is not just about money or success. It is about unlocking the hidden patterns of thought that shape your reality and learning how to align your mind with the abundance that already exists around you. If your spirit feels called to expand beyond old limitations, if you are ready to awaken a deeper level of prosperity within yourself, then you may feel guided to explore it. You can find it through the link in the description below. Many who have listened say it opened their eyes to truths they had sensed all along but never fully understood. So if that quiet inner voice is nudging you, trust it, because from now on nothing returns to what it was. You have felt it building, haven't you? The pressure, the discomfort, the sense that something is shifting beneath your feet, even when everything around you looks the same. That is because the universe does not announce transformation with comfort. It announces it with disruption. The equinox arrives not to gently guide you, but to confront you with a choice you can no longer postpone. For too long, you have stood at the threshold, sensing that your life was meant for something greater, something more aligned, something more true. And yet, hesitation lingered. Doubt whispered. Old patterns held you in place. But now the energy has changed. Now the doorway is no longer waiting. It is opening, whether you feel ready or not. And here is the truth you must face. Once you step through, there is no returning to who you used to be. The illusions that once comforted you will dissolve. The distractions that once numbed you will lose their grip. You are being called into clarity, into alignment, into a version of yourself that demands more honesty, more courage, more presence than ever before. And the question is not whether this is happening. It already is. The question is, will you resist it, or will you rise with it? There is a frequency moving through this moment. A silent current that does not speak in words yet somehow communicates everything your soul has been trying to remember. It is not visible yet you feel it. It is not tangible yet it shifts something inside you that cannot be ignored. This is breakthrough energy, and it does not search for everyone. It recognizes those who are ready. It recognizes you. That is why you feel this intensity now. Why your thoughts seem louder, your emotions sharper, your intuition clearer than it has been in months, maybe even years. You are not imagining it. You are not overthinking it. You are tuning into something real. And as this energy meets you, it begins to rearrange what no longer belongs in your life. Relationships may feel strained. Old desires may lose their meaning. Paths you once pursued may suddenly feel empty. Do not mistake this for loss. This is alignment. This is the clearing before the arrival. Because what is meant for you cannot enter a space still occupied by what was never yours to carry. And so the universe begins its work not around you but within you, quietly, powerfully, irreversibly. You thought you were falling apart. You thought those moments of exhaustion, those nights of questioning everything, were signs that something had gone wrong. But listen carefully, those were not endings. Those were initiations. The breaking point was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to strip away everything false so that only truth could remain. And now standing here at this equinox, you begin to see it differently. The confusion had a purpose. The delays had a purpose. Even the pain you carried had a purpose because it shaped your awareness. It deepened your perception. It prepared you to recognize this moment when it arrived. And now that it has, there is no more pretending. No more shrinking. No more waiting for permission to become who you were always meant to be. The energy has shifted. The signal has been sent and your soul has responded. Whether you realize it fully yet or not, you have already begun to move. Long before this moment, before the chaos, before the confusion, before the searching, you made an agreement. Not with another person, not with society, but with something far greater. You agreed to awaken. You agreed to remember. You agreed to step into a path that would challenge you, reshape you, and ultimately elevate you beyond what your current mind can fully comprehend. And the equinox is the activation point of that agreement. It is the moment where intention meets timing, where preparation meets opportunity, where the unseen becomes undeniable. That is why this feels so intense, because something ancient within you is being called forward. Something that has been waiting patiently, quietly for the exact alignment of time and energy that now surrounds you. And as this realization begins to rise within you, you may feel resistance. Fear may attempt to anchor you back into what is familiar. But understand this, fear is not a warning. It is a threshold. And on the other side of it is everything you have been searching for. You can try to distract yourself. You can try to rationalize it, to explain it away, to convince yourself that this is just another moment, another passing feeling. But deep down you know better. This is not ordinary. This is not random. This is a call. And not everyone hears it. Not everyone recognizes it, but you do, because something within you has already awakened to its frequency. And once you hear it, truly hear it, it does not fade. It grows louder. It follows you into your thoughts, into your dreams, into the quiet spaces where you can no longer pretend not to notice it. And the more you resist, the stronger it becomes. Not because it is trying to overwhelm you, but because it is trying to guide you, to pull you forward, to remind you that you are never meant to stay where you are. That your story does not end in comfort or stagnation. It evolves. It expands. It transforms. And right now, you are standing at the edge of that transformation. There comes a moment in every awakening where the path behind you disappears. Not physically but energetically. You can remember it, but you can no longer return to it. That is where you are now. The equinox does not just open doors. It closes others permanently. The person you were yesterday cannot fully exist tomorrow. The patterns you clung to cannot survive the clarity that is coming. And this is where many hesitate, because stepping forward means letting go. Not just of pain, but of identity, of stories, of versions of yourself that once felt safe. But understand this, what you are being called into is not a loss. It is an expansion so vast that your current self cannot contain it. And so something must be released. Something must be surrendered. Not as a sacrifice but as a transformation. Because once you step fully into this energy, once you align with it completely, there is no turning back. And deep within you, you already know. You are ready. There were signs more than you realized. Subtle nudges, repeated patterns, moments that felt too precise to be coincidence. But at the time, you questioned them. You dismissed them. You told yourself you were reading too deeply into things that seemed ordinary. Yet now, as this energy intensifies, you begin to see those moments differently. They were not random. They were signals placed carefully, deliberately along your path to prepare you for this exact point in time. The conversations that stayed with you longer than they should have. The opportunities that appeared and disappeared just as quickly. The endings that felt abrupt yet strangely necessary. All of it was guiding you here. Because the universe does not shout its intentions. It reveals them in layers, in fragments that only make sense when you are ready to see the full picture. And now you are ready. The pieces are aligning. The meaning is becoming clear. And what once felt confusing now begins to feel intentional because it always was. There is a voice within you that has grown stronger over time. You tried to silence it. You tried to override it with logic, with distraction, with the expectations of others. But it never disappeared. It waited patiently, persistently. And now it is no longer asking for your attention. It is demanding it. This voice is not fear. It is not doubt. It is your knowing, your intuition, your deeper awareness rising to the surface because the time for ignoring it has passed. And as you begin to listen, to truly listen, you will notice something extraordinary. It does not confuse you. It does not overwhelm you. It guides you clearly, directly. It tells you what feels right, what feels off, what needs to change, what needs to stay. And the more you trust it, the louder it becomes, not in noise, but in certainty. And this certainty is your compass. It is what will lead you through the unknown, through the shifts, through the transformation that is unfolding. Because the answers you have been searching for were never outside of you. They have always been waiting within. You may already be feeling it. That quiet unraveling of things that once felt stable. Connections that no longer carry the same energy. Goals that suddenly feel empty. Environments that seem misaligned in ways you can no longer ignore. This is not a mistake. This is not something breaking down without purpose. This is a collapse, a necessary one. Because what no longer resonates with who you are becoming cannot remain in your life without creating resistance. And resistance is what this moment is here to dissolve. The equinox energy does not negotiate with misalignment. It reveals it. It brings it to the surface so clearly that you cannot pretend it is not there. And yes, this can feel uncomfortable. It can feel uncertain. But within that discomfort is clarity. Within that uncertainty is truth. Because as these structures fall away, they make space. Space for something new, something aligned, something that does not require you to shrink or compromise who you are. And as this space opens, you will begin to understand that what you thought you were losing was actually setting you free. There is a certain kind of light that does not simply illuminate. It reveals. It uncovers what has been hidden both around you and within you. And this is the light that arrives with the equinox. It does not ask permission. It does not soften its intensity. It shows you everything as it is. The truths you avoided, the patterns you repeated, the parts of yourself you kept buried because facing them felt too overwhelming. But now that light is here, and once it shines, nothing remains concealed. This is where many feel vulnerable, exposed. But understand this, exposure is not punishment. It is liberation. Because you cannot transform what you cannot see. And now you see clearly, fully, without distortion. And from this place of clarity, you gain something powerful. Choice. The ability to decide what continues with you and what does not. The ability to consciously shape your next steps instead of unconsciously repeating your past. And this is where your power truly begins. You may not recognize yourself fully right now. And that is not a problem. It is a sign. A sign that you are evolving beyond the version of you that once defined your limits. The thoughts you once believed without question are now being challenged. The roles you once played no longer feel natural. The identity you once clung to is beginning to feel too small for who you are becoming. This is the emergence. This is the transition between who you were and who you are stepping into. And transitions are not always comfortable. They stretch you. They confront you. They ask you to release familiarity in exchange for expansion. But what is waiting on the other side of this is worth it. Because the version of you that is emerging is not built on fear, on doubt, on limitation. It is built on awareness, on truth, on alignment. And as this version of you takes form, you will begin to feel it not just as an idea, but as a presence within you that is stronger, clearer, and more grounded than anything you have experienced before. There is a shift happening in your direction. Not something you are forcing, not something you are chasing, but something that is drawing you forward. A pull. Subtle at first, but becoming stronger with each passing moment. You may feel it as curiosity, as inspiration, as an urge to move towards something you cannot fully explain yet. Trust this pull because it is not random. It is alignment in motion. It is your energy responding to what is meant for you, guiding you toward it in ways that logic alone cannot understand. And the more you follow it, the clearer it becomes. The path begins to reveal itself, not all at once, but step by step, moment by moment. And this is how transformation unfolds. Not through certainty, but through trust. Not through knowing every outcome, but through being willing to take the next step, even when the full picture is not yet visible. Because what is meant for you is not hidden from you. It is waiting for you to meet it halfway. Fear is rising not to stop you but to show you where you are growing. This is something you must understand deeply because for so long fear has been something you avoided, something you interpreted as a sign to step back, to retreat, to stay within what feels safe. But now that understanding is shifting. Fear is not your enemy. It is your indicator. It appears precisely at the edge of your expansion. At the point where you are about to move beyond what is familiar and into what is possible. And if you can change your relationship with it, if you can see it not as a barrier but as a signal, you will unlock something powerful. You will begin to move forward even when fear is present. You will begin to trust yourself even when uncertainty surrounds you. And in doing so, you will realize that fear was never meant to control you. It was meant to guide you, to show you exactly where your next level begins. And right now, that next level is calling you forward. There are days that pass like whispers, unnoticed, unclaimed, dissolving into memory without impact. And then there are days like this. Days that bend the trajectory of your entire existence. March 20th is not just a shift in seasons. It is a shift in direction. Something within your energy field begins to turn like a compass finally locking onto true north after years of spinning. And when this happens, everything changes. Not because the world outside suddenly transforms, but because you do. Your perception sharpens. Your tolerance for what drains you dissolves. Your alignment becomes non-negotiable. You may not see immediate external proof, but internally something has already recalibrated. You are no longer moving in circles. You are no longer repeating cycles unconsciously. You are moving forward intentionally, powerfully, inevitably. And once your energy changes, direction like this, there is no force strong enough to pull you back into who you used to be. The path has shifted. The current has turned and you are now being carried toward something you were always meant to become. Right now things may feel strangely quiet. Not empty but suspended. Like the moment before a storm breaks or the breath before a word is spoken. This silence is not absence. It is preparation. It is the universe aligning details behind the scenes. Arranging outcomes you cannot yet see. Positioning opportunities that will reveal themselves at the exact moment you are ready to receive them. Many misunderstand this phase. They think nothing is happening. They grow restless. They doubt. But you must recognize this as sacred stillness because manifestation does not always arrive with noise. Sometimes it begins in silence, in subtle shifts, in unseen movements that gather momentum before they appear in your physical reality. And if you can trust this silence, if you can remain grounded within it without rushing to fill it with fear or distraction, you will witness something extraordinary. Because when manifestation finally speaks, it will not whisper. It will arrive with clarity, with precision, with undeniable presence. And you will know this is what you are being prepared for. Have you noticed it? That subtle but undeniable lightness beginning to emerge within you. It may come in moments, brief, unexpected, almost unfamiliar. A sense that something heavy has been removed. Even if you cannot fully explain what it was, that is not coincidence. That is release. The equinox does not just activate. It also removes. It lifts burdens you have carried for far too long. Burdens that were never truly yours, but that you held on to out of habit, out of fear, out of a need to understand what was never meant to be understood. And now, as this energy moves through you, it begins to dissolve those weights, old emotional attachments, lingering doubts, invisible chains that once defined your limits. They are loosening. They are falling away. And as they do, You may feel disoriented for a moment. Not because something is wrong, but because you are not used to this level of freedom. You are not used to moving without resistance. But this is your natural state. This is who you were before the world told you to carry more than you were meant to. And now you are remembering what it feels like to simply be unburdened. There is a moment in every awakening where something clicks. Not gradually, not subtly, but suddenly, and completely. A realization that reshapes everything you thought you understood about yourself, your past, your purpose. And once it arrives, it cannot be undone. You begin to see patterns you once missed. You begin to understand why certain things had to happen, why certain doors had to close, why certain people had to leave. And instead of questioning it, instead of resisting it, you begin to accept it. Not as something that happened to you, but as something that happened for you. This realization is not just intellectual. It is energetic. It shifts the way you carry yourself, the way you speak. The way you choose what stays and what goes. And from this point forward, your life is no longer guided by confusion or reaction. It is guided by clarity, by intention, by a deeper knowing that does not need validation from anyone else. Because once you see the truth, you cannot unsee it. And once you understand your path, you cannot unknow it. For so long, you have compromised your own energy to maintain balance in spaces that were never aligned with you. You have dimmed your light to avoid conflict, silenced your truth to keep peace, stayed in situations that felt wrong because leaving felt uncertain. But now that pattern is breaking, not gently, not gradually, but completely, because the energy of this moment demands something different from you. It demands that you choose yourself fully, without apology, without hesitation, without seeking permission. And this is where your true power begins. Not in controlling others, not in forcing outcomes, but in standing firmly within your own alignment regardless of what shifts around you. And yes, this may cause disruption. It may challenge relationships. It may create distance where there was once closeness. But understand this: anything that cannot exist alongside your authentic self was never meant to remain in your life. And as you step into this level of self-honoring, you do not lose, you refine, you do not diminish, you expand, you do not isolate, you attract what truly resonates with who you are becoming. Once energy begins to move in alignment, it does not slow down. It accelerates, and this is where things begin to feel different. Opportunities may appear suddenly. Conversations may take unexpected turns. Ideas may flow with a clarity and speed you have never experienced before. This is momentum, and it is not something you need to chase. It is something you align with, because now you are no longer working against yourself. You are no longer resisting your own evolution. You are moving with it. And when you move with your own energy instead of against it, everything becomes more fluid, more natural, more powerful. And here is the truth that many are not prepared for. Once this momentum begins, it does not wait for hesitation. It does not pause for doubt. It continues. And you must decide whether you will move with it or attempt to hold on to what is already fading. But deep down you already know your answer, because something within you has already chosen to rise. You have spent so much time searching for clarity, for purpose, for signs that you are on the right path. But what you are beginning to realize now is that the moment you align with yourself, life begins to recognize you. Situations shift in your favor. Doors open without force. People appear who reflect your growth instead of challenging your worth. This is not luck. This is resonance. This is what happens when your internal state matches the frequency of what you are meant to receive. And as this alignment strengthens, you will notice something profound. You no longer feel like you are chasing your life. You feel like your life is meeting you, supporting you, moving with you. And this is where true ease begins. Not the absence of effort, but the presence of alignment. Not the removal of challenge, but the ability to move through it without losing yourself. Because now you are no longer disconnected from your path. You are walking it consciously. Just before everything shifts, there is often one final moment of resistance, one last wave of doubt, one last attempt by your old self to pull you back into familiarity. It may come as overthinking, as fear, as the sudden urge to retreat into what feels safe. But recognize this for what it is. It is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that you are closer than ever. Because breakthrough does not arrive without tension. It does not emerge without a final test of your willingness to move forward despite uncertainty. And this is where your strength reveals itself. Not in the absence of fear, but in your ability to move through it, to continue to trust what you feel even when your mind tries to question it. Because on the other side of this resistance, everything changes. And you are not being asked to be fearless. You are being asked to be willing. Willing to step forward, willing to trust, willing to become. And then it happens not as a dramatic explosion, but as a quiet certainty that settles deep within you, a knowing, a calm, unwavering clarity that tells you you have crossed. The path is no longer ahead of you. You are already on it. The energy of this equinox has done what it came to do. It has activated, aligned, and sealed something within you that cannot be reversed. And from this moment forward, your life is no longer guided by who you were, but by who you have become. And there is no need to rush, no need to force what comes next. Because now you are in flow. Now you are in alignment. Now you are in truth. And as you continue to move forward from this point, you will begin to see it. Not all at once, but in moments, in signs, in confirmations that remind you. You are exactly where you are meant to be. And there is no turning back. Not because you cannot, but because you no longer desire to. Now watch closely because this is where the unseen becomes visible. The shift that began within you does not stay contained. It starts to echo outward, reshaping your external reality in ways that feel almost surreal. Conversations begin to change tone. Opportunities appear in places you weren't even looking. Situations that once felt stuck suddenly loosen as if something invisible has released its grip. This is not coincidence. This is alignment taking form because the moment your internal state shifts, reality responds. It has to. It mirrors your frequency, your clarity, your decision to no longer remain who you were. And what you are witnessing now is the beginning of that mirror effect. Life reorganizing itself around your new energy. And the more you trust it, the more you move with it instead of questioning it, the faster it unfolds. But remember this, what is aligning now is not random opportunity. It is precise. It is intentional. It is designed specifically for the version of you that has just awakened. And if you pay attention, you will see that nothing arriving now feels forced. It feels right. There was a time when everything felt like resistance, like every step forward required force, struggle, or compromise. But now something different begins to happen. Doors open. Not because you pushed them, not because you convinced them to, but because they were always meant to open. When you reach this level of alignment, this is the difference between chasing and receiving, between forcing and allowing. And you are stepping into the phase of allowing where what is meant for you begins to reveal itself naturally without the friction you once believed was necessary. And this may feel unfamiliar at first. You may question it. You may wonder if it is too easy. But understand this, ease is not a mistake. It is a sign. A sign that you are no longer working against your path but with it. And the more you embrace this, the more you release the need to control every outcome, the more effortlessly your reality begins to unfold in ways that exceed what you once thought possible. There is a quiet but powerful shift happening within you. A detachment not from life, not from purpose, but from the need to cling to outcomes, to people, to versions of reality that once felt essential. And this detachment is not loss. It is liberation. Because attachment often comes from fear, from the belief that if you let go, something important will disappear. But now you are beginning to understand something deeper. What is truly meant for you does not require you to hold on to it tightly. It stays. It flows. It aligns. And what is not meant for you leaves no matter how hard you try to keep it. And this realization changes everything because it frees your energy. It allows you to move through life with openness instead of tension, with trust instead of control. And in this state, you become magnetic. You attract not through effort, but through alignment. And what enters your life now does so because it resonates with who you are, not who you were trying to be. You may feel it now. That quiet distance between who you are becoming and who you used to be. It is subtle but undeniable. The old reactions no longer feel natural. The old fears no longer hold the same power. The old version of you, the one who doubted, who hesitated, who settled, feels like a memory rather than a reality. And this is the point of no return. Because once you outgrow an identity, you cannot fully step back into it. You can try, you can revisit it, but it will not fit the same. It will feel constricting, misaligned, incomplete. And this is not something to resist. It is something to honor because it means you have evolved. It means you have expanded beyond limitations that once defined you. And now you are being called to fully embody this new version of yourself. Not partially, not occasionally, but completely. Because this is who you are now. And the more you accept it, the more powerful your presence becomes. There may be moments on this path where you feel alone. Not because you are truly alone, but because you are stepping into a frequency that not everyone around you can yet understand. And this can be challenging because part of you still seeks familiarity, still desires validation, still hopes that others will immediately recognize the changes you are experiencing. But understand this, growth is not always shared at the same pace. And sometimes your path requires you to walk forward even when others are not ready to walk with you. This is not abandonment. This is alignment. And within this space of solitude, you discover something powerful. You discover yourself fully without influence, without distortion. And from this place, you become stronger, clearer, more grounded in who you are and what you stand for. And eventually those who resonate with this version of you will appear naturally effortlessly because you are no longer seeking connection. You are attracting it. This is the moment where everything begins to accelerate, not chaotically but precisely. A breakthrough, one that may come as a realization, an opportunity, a decision shifts your timeline entirely. And suddenly what once felt distant begins to feel immediate. What once felt impossible begins to feel inevitable because you have crossed the internal threshold required to access it. And this is where your life begins to move differently, faster but not rushed, expansive but not overwhelming, purposeful but not forced. And as this new timeline unfolds, you will begin to see just how much was waiting for you on the other side of your own alignment. How many possibilities existed just beyond the point where you were willing to step forward. And now that you have, there is no limit to where this can go. Because the only thing that was ever holding you back was the version of you that no longer exists. Amid all of this movement, all of this transformation, something within you becomes deeply still, a knowing, not loud, not overwhelming, but steady, unshakable. It does not need to prove itself. It does not need to be explained. It simply is. And this knowing becomes your foundation, your anchor, the place you return to when everything around you shifts. Because now you no longer rely on external validation to confirm your path. You feel it. You trust it. You live it. And this is where true power resides. Not in constant action, not in constant seeking, but in grounded certainty, in the ability to move forward without needing to question every step because you already know. And once you reach this level of knowing, everything changes, decisions become clearer, actions become more aligned, and your presence becomes undeniable. Before the next level fully unfolds, there is one final phase. Integration. A moment where everything you have experienced, everything you have realized, everything you have released settles into place. This is where your transformation becomes stable. Where it moves from temporary awareness into permanent embodiment. And during this phase, things may feel slower again. Not because progress has stopped but because it is anchoring itself within you. Becoming part of who you are rather than something you are trying to maintain. And this is essential because true growth is not about constant movement. It is about sustainable alignment, about becoming the person who naturally operates at this level without effort, without force. And once this integration is complete, expansion resumes stronger, clearer, more powerful than before. Because now you are not just experiencing change. You are living it. And now here you stand, not at the beginning, not in the middle, but at a point of arrival that once felt unreachable. And yet this is only the beginning of what is possible for you. Because the life that awaits you is not something distant. It is something that begins the moment you fully step into it. The moment you stop hesitating, the moment you stop questioning your worth, your timing, your readiness, because you are ready. You have been ready. And everything that has brought you here has been preparing you for this exact moment. So take a breath, feel the shift, recognize the transformation that has already occurred within you, and understand this. There is no turning back. Not because you cannot, but because you have outgrown the path behind you. And what lies ahead is yours to claim. And now, chosen one, feel this moment not as an ending, but as a threshold. Because what you have just experienced was never meant to stay within these words. It was meant to awaken something that continues long after this message fades. The energy you feel right now, this clarity, this expansion, this undeniable pull forward, it is not temporary. It is a signal, a calling, a doorway that remains open, but only for those willing to walk through it with intention. And this is where your next step reveals itself. Because alignment without action fades, awareness without reinforcement dissolves, and the universe in its precision has already placed something within your reach to anchor this transformation into your reality. The audiobook, How to Awaken the Rich Mind Within You, is not just something you listen to. It is something you enter. A deeper immersion into the mindset, the energy, the frequency that you are only just beginning to unlock within yourself right now. If this message stirred something in you, that audiobook will take it further. It will reinforce what is awakening. It will strengthen what is shifting. It will guide you into becoming the version of yourself you have already begun to feel. The link is waiting for you in the description and in the first pinned comment, not placed there casually, but positioned as part of this exact moment, as part of your next step. And if you feel that pull again, that quiet knowing telling you to explore it, trust that, because that is how alignment speaks. Not loudly but clearly. Now, before you move forward, seal this moment. Anchor it. Leave your mark below. Declare that you are stepping into this new path. That you are no longer the person you were before this message found you. And subscribe not as a routine but as a commitment to stay connected to this frequency, this unfolding, this evolution that is only just beginning. Because from this moment forward, you are not waiting for your life to change. You are the one who changed it, and there is no turning back.